Now, election hacking poses many threats, not just to the integrity of the vote, but also to voter privacy. Hackers reportedly sold the personal information for an estimated 191 million American voters last October, and that's according to a top cybersecurity firm. So is the very basis of our democracy, the right to a free and fair election, is it in jeopardy? Let's go right to cybersecurity expert Morgan Wright. Morgan, are you seeing any evidence that Russia is trying to manipulate the U.S. election?
Boy, I sure hope they're not. You know, there's a difference between influencing things and outright manipulation of the vote. And, you know, this is just, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, but it could be. It's not the actual tampering they want to do. They just want people to believe it's tampered, and so therefore it throws into doubt. If you thought Gore v. Bush was a nightmare, if these results get messed with in any substantial way, the last thing you want is the Supreme Court having to deal with the cyber issue and trying to figure out who actually voted for who. There will be no hanging chads, just ones and zeros. Yeah,
that's a good point, because the Supreme Court is split right now, right? So, yep. Morgan, we know that voter election systems were hacked in places like Mexico, right, Kazakhstan, Turkey. It appears to be personal identity theft. And when you talk to state officials here, they're saying our voting machines, that they scan paper ballots, and that can be consulted in the case of a discrepancy. I think that's what we were talking about.
Right.
But there are 5 states, New Jersey, Delaware, South Carolina, Georgia, and Louisiana, that only use direct recording electronic
right.
voting machines with no paper backup in case of a problem. What happens there?
Good question. I think this is uncharted territory. I mean, this is Star Trek. We're going to boldly go where no other voter has gone before. I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. Do you rehold? Do you re-vote? I mean, you'll never get the same results again. How do you account for something? And look, there's a third scenario here, too, is that I doubt that they're going to sell this right now because of identity theft, but what happens if somebody decides to encrypt the entire database, ransomware, and hold it for ransom? Now you're holding the results of our election for $2 million, $5 million. I mean, at that point, it could be name your price.
So let's take this to some kind of idea where this could head. I mean, right now, well, let me back up. Arizona and Illinois have had problems, right?
Yes.
Both states have seen
breaches.
That's right. Enforcement officials seem to be trying to play the problem down. How serious of a threat is this?
You know, your first clue that it's serious is when they try and tell you it's not serious. You know, hey, there's nothing to see here. We're talking about voting records. We're talking about a state system that is going to help determine who the next president of the United States is. If that's not important, then I don't know what is at this point. I mean, 21 million records at OPM, mine being one of them. That was important. They played that down as well. So at this point, you know, maybe it is the proper role of DHS to get involved and look at this from a national security, a critical infrastructure standpoint, to say, look, the integrity of the vote is so important, we have to put some federal resources behind securing it, not running the operations, but behind securing the integrity of the vote. And I know that they were doing some exploratory stuff. Jay Johnson was talking about that, but the question is, will all the states take advantage? Maybe it's time to move back to paper ballots, and we just have to wait 24 hours to find out who's going to be the leader of the free world.
Morgan, you raised an important point. The voting system here in the United States, it's not part of the critical infrastructure, right? At Homeland Security, is that what's going on?
Right.
Okay,
and they're trying to figure out, should they treat this like they do the Super Bowl? The Super Bowl is a national special security event. Extra protection, the Secret Service, DHS, FBI. Maybe it's time for the voting system, at least in national elections like this, to be part of a national special security event, and you get extra money, extra protection to ensure the integrity of the voting process.
Okay, cybersecurity expert Morgan Wright, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, sir.
You bet.